Hi, and welcome back to Forged by Geeks. Today I'm playing a little bit of Gloomhaven over Tabletop Simulator with one of our Kickstarter backers. Or not Kickstarter backers, one of our... he's going to help me understand a little bit more about... Can't guarantee I'll grep everything and remember it when we're actually, live streaming. It gets a little chaotic. But I'm Anthony, as always, from Forged by Geeks, and I have on the stream, what's your name again?
Marcel Zetechka, one of the co-designers of Gloomhaven and playtester.
Oh, you're one of the co-designers, too.
Yeah,
Wow.
kinda.
Awesome. So, yeah.
Remember I recommended the game to you?
Yes, you were. Yeah, I didn't even hear about this hitting Kickstarter, and this is right up our alley, so that was absolutely awesome. Okay, so why don't you give a brief rundown over roughly what you're going to be showing me a little bit of today?
My general idea was to talk about cooperative play in Gloomhaven with card interactions with your team.
Okay.
How to increase your cooperation value and work better together in a single turn to improve your odds at winning.
Hey, I
for
like
once.
that idea. We could definitely use a little bit better odds at winning.
And some mitigations to increase the likelihood to survive, and use of items maybe a bit, and everything you want to touch upon.
Awesome.
No actual scenario. I didn't set up anything for that. But if you would like, we could maybe do one of my custom scenarios in your live stream later in the evening.
Possibly, that might be a good idea for later. But for right now, why don't we focus on this little co-op type stuff we're doing?
Yeah.
And this kind of coordination.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
Yeah, that would be an excellent introduction because what I noticed on your streams is at the start of your turn, you kind of pick your cards and don't even talk about what you want to do. And that was one thing that kind of fuzzied me a bit, because that's the most important part, to coordinate when to do what and in which order. You cannot talk about specifics, but you can talk vaguely about how to line up your turn as a team. And that helps a lot at surviving and managing the enemies.
Okay.
One part of that would be element consumption and creation. An element is created at the end of your turn if you infuse it. But in the same round, one of your other players can use that element already. So if you generate like wind with the brute early, let's say this card here.
Yep.
With this one. Sorry, this one the attack move
there it is.
3.
Yeah, that creates wind.
Yeah, and that wind can be used by your spellweaver, for instance. So you can coordinate your wind generation early in the turn. Let's say by playing an early card, such as going into the enemies and move into them, retaliate to dish out some damage, and then you create the wind. And just a simple thing.
Okay, but I thought we weren't supposed to talk much about the exact card we're creating when playing. Is it generally considered kosher to basically say, hey, I'm going to be creating wind this round, and the other person going, yeah, and I'll spend it. And then
you can do that.
Okay, then you have to do the kind of negotiating of, well, I'm going to go really quick and generate the wind. And the other person goes, okay, I'll back off slowly.
Yeah, that would be excellent, because you can talk about these things. You don't say when you're gonna do it, just I'm gonna do it early, and I'm planning on just jumping into them and gonna retaliate against them. So if you can help me up with maybe some shield or so as a tinkerer, that would be excellent. Yeah?
Okay, yeah, and then you. So in general, do you find that going later is that much of a detriment in a round? Because we have been very focused on playing like cards like Restorative Mist and stuff like that to go really early in our turns and have everybody go before all the enemies go. Is that
It
that
really
essential?
depends on the situation. If the enemies are really far away, it
Hmm.
might be way much better to go late and let them come to you, so you don't have to spend movement towards them. Just spend ranged attacks and melee attacks against them when they are closer. Or if they are fast enemies, like night demons who go excellently early. It doesn't matter when you go because you will always go behind them. They are so fast, you don't have a chance to go faster than them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all about laying out your turn and kind of thinking, what are the monsters gonna do and what we gonna do as a team? How they usually act, the monsters, this type of monster, what we've seen from them, and how we can react to that, what we are expecting.
Okay, okay. So, one of the setups we had in a recent game, you might remember the level that we played 3 times.
Yeah.
We started in that big room, and
Hmm.
yeah, this room here isn't a great example, but it was twice as big as this room, and we had just a ton of archers off in the distance, while we
Yep.
were kind of sitting off over on this side, and and you had the 6 fighters, and then you had the
Hmm.
archers off in the distance, and we had a
Yes.
hard time with those archers all the time. Um, Now we chose not to open the side doors, so we had the side doors
Except in the one
open.
attempt.
Yeah, we could have hopped into those side rooms and kind of protected. Was it better, like we did when we finally cleared it on level 0, to fight off everything up front and then move back, or should we have like ducked into a side room for protection, as an example?
I was kind of at odds that you opened the side door in the one attempt because you spawned more enemies and had to deal still with the masses that were on your footsteps. Most of the times, it's better in the first turns just to deal out as much damage as possible to reduce the enemy numbers, because
Mm.
then you get less incoming damage. It's also damage mitigation in some ways.
So
Sometimes
we were
it's
smart later to not open those side doors.
yeah, yeah. And like Peter, I think, played the
Yep.
frost armor in the first turn, and he was on the back side, and everyone was ahead of him, and he just wasted a card for nothing because it didn't do anything the whole game. He just dished it out, and because he was never on the front lines, it was kind of odd. Where
I see what you're
on the
saying.
other hand, he could use some attack on the bottom with Flame Strike, or maybe heal something, or maybe heal something for less later in the turn.
Okay.
If he combines his actions like I'm going very late and attack a lot of targets, and then maybe heal something that took damage from the bandit guards in such order,
Hmm.
he would have much more effective turn. Each turn counts a lot in the game. You have to really think through it and just play the most optimal pair of cards in the given situation.
Okay.
And you have to think ahead and see which cards you want to do in the next turns.
Now, one of the other things that I see all of us doing pretty heavily is we have those kind of quest cards. I don't know if you have a good
Hmm.
example here. Um, one
Yeah,
of
these
these.
ones.
I don't know how to
Yep.
flip the cards in this. But
F button or
okay.
right click.
So we have like these where you have to do something for the quest, and
Hmm.
I see us regularly really focusing on doing these each round. And main reason why we're doing that is to unlock future classes and stuff. Is that
Hmm.
important, or should we be focusing a little bit less on that and more on just beating the missions?
The first goal of every quest should be see how you can clear the quest goal and mostly efficient spending the cards. If you get that down and get comfortable to do that over and over and clear quest after another, then you can start weaving more XP, more loot,
Mm,
accomplishing your quest goals. But as you focus more on the gold and XP and the quest goals, the harder the quest get
uh,
because they are optional. And in addition to that, you want to win the quest.
yes. We'd rather not play them 5 times. Um,
Yeah.
Now, one other thing that I was doing was if you look at a lot of the Tinkerer cards, it's definitely a
Hmm.
healer-focused class. One of
Yes,
the
it
things you
is.
commented at one point while we were playing was I was doing too much healing. What do you mean by that in general?
Um, the point is, you had like melee focused enemies, like the Inox guards,
Yep,
and your class has excellent tools to disable them, like the net shooter weapon.
that's this
No,
one right here.
that's
I got it.
no, that's yeah, the net shooter, like this one. Yeah, if you have a cluster of enemies and they are all melee characters, you can protect your allies very well just by disabling them with immobilize or maybe something else. Yeah, here's a stun shot. It's an easy, quite nice attack. It doesn't deal a lot of damage, but it takes
It's
out a whole enemy.
it stops them from attacking us next round.
Yeah, a whole
Okay.
turn.
Yeah, now one of the other things is we've switched to generally like I'm looking at energizing tonic as an example right now. Both
Mhm.
abilities are a discard or
Yeah,
uh
lost. Yeah,
lost.
lost ability.
Um
It's good for your XP, but it's really hard to dish out so many cards so quickly.
yeah,
Yes, you have the biggest hand size, but every card costs you that you lose costs you about 7 to 8 turns
yeah,
when you lose it,
that's
and
what I
that's
was
a
wondering.
lot. Yeah, and so
So
yeah,
try
it
not to
might
spend
be
the
good
lost until
to
like you're
to.
about to win. So basically, you try to avoid using the lost abilities until we're more or less towards the end of a session, or if it's going to like, for example, I think Rico, he has one. Let me find it.
This one?
That yeah, or no, not that one. There was another one that he has that he jumps through a lot of enemies, and he was hitting like 4 or 5
This
each
one.
time. Ah,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, where yeah, all targets move through, and he was using that usually pretty quick and losing the card. Is that something
Mhm.
that he should be holding on to a bit longer, combined with the boots? Yeah, he did that. Should he be holding on to that a bit longer, or is that something that he was doing right when he had an opportunity to hit that many enemies jumping through?
It depends. If you really want to get rid of a lot of enemies quickly, and can do that play, and it is efficient and it deals a lot of damage and brings you into position to deal more damage with another card as well, then it's a really good play. Um, I wanted to reiterate your question from before to your class. It's sometimes good to lose cards early to deal out much damage if it helps along the quest. But it's always the counterbalance because between how long is the quest and how early I want to lose cards. If the quest is short, you can dish out your cards very much faster than in a prolonged quest,
Now,
like
what's a
in the
good way
killing
of telling
quest.
if it's going to be a prolonged quest versus a just normal quest, as it were?
It most depends on the dungeon size and the goal.
Okay.
Like if you see the small dungeon and you have like kill 6 enemies, you can dish out your high quality cards very
Are there
early
actually
because
ones that short?
yes, there are. There
Oh,
are.
wow.
It's an actual scenario. This one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
and
like,
there are others where you have like 6 tiles, and we have to play much more conservatively, and that's a good thing in Gloomhaven. You see the setup, you see the monsters, and
mhm.
then decide which cards to bring, and yet that you can utilize very well.
Now, should we be looking ahead in the missions much? Because we've been generally taking the approach of going in blind. Is that the intention of the game in general to go in blind and kind of experiencing it? Or should we be reviewing the entire mission, what's going to happen, what doors have triggers, all that kind of stuff before we go
Um,
in?
the only thing you view ahead is which monsters you face and see which abilities they have, and that's the only insight you actually supposed to look at.
Okay,
And the first room which is set up at the quest, and the tiles, how big the rooms in total are.
okay.
There's
So we can talk
these
about how big
three,
the dungeon is.
yes, and which monsters are in the first room, and which monsters generally appear. Like if you see a monster with many shield, it's good to bring some pierce cards. You see that? You bring more Pierce cards to your team.
So a monster. So while the bandit guard only has one shield, if we had like a 3 shield enemy, God help us if that exists, we'd want to potentially bring in more.
Yeah, like the Pierce card from the Brood. There are 2 of them. This one here and this one, yeah. And there's a perfectly good example why you want to keep on this card for longer, because the top half has Pierce.
Which lets you punch through the armor when we were getting those armor stacks.
Or here's a good example why you want to bring Wind for the Brood.
Because it gives them the Pierce plus 1 extra attack on top of that.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Let's see. Now, as far as our equipment, how have we? So we've been doing pretty decent with equipment. I think. Do you feel like we've been utilizing the equipment cards well?
Most of the time. The only thing I would really recommend is the goggles, and use them more often.
Okay.
Because they can help you to mitigate your misses.
Oh,
because
and we get those back on a long rest.
Yes.
Now
they are really good.
Did you see our last video where I picked up the that one new rare gear? It's a summon. How useful is that going to be?
Depends on how you play with summons. Most of the time you use them as tanks in your group, as I've seen it, like your decoy. But if you play them smart, like the elemental summon from the Spellweaver, you can place your summon behind you and then just let it shoot every turn and deal some extra damage.
Oh, it's got
that
range.
Might be also. Yeah, it has
range.
That's a good point, because if you body block for your summon, it only has 2 HP, so 1 hit will kill it. But if you tank for it, it can deal every turn some damage for your team.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
now,
that's quite a lot.
The summon equipment, I don't know where that would be even in here, but we've got the summon
equipment. Not here, because only the basic items are in this module.
But I got the summon equipment. Part of the reason why I picked that up was the idea that it was a free action, basically, to proc the summon. That seemed really valuable to me.
Yes. Especially if you would play with the Scoundrel, because the Scoundrel needs lots of adjacency bonuses, standing next to an ally, and summons count for that as well. So summons are really, really good to set up these adjacency bonuses, and they can be used to mitigate really big hitting monsters for 1 attack. Just say body block and die, and you don't have to take the damage as the player.
That makes sense. Now, one of the things we're looking at is, like, I know I'm getting pretty close on these checkboxes, which I need to unlock the next class. And I know a couple other of our team members are getting pretty close to unlocking their next classes as well. Should we try to space out those? Should we try to space out those unlocks? Meaning that we keep a couple more powerful characters that are leveled up. Even if somebody can unlock, should we try to avoid like having 2 players unlocking at the same time, or should we just run with it?
That's up to you, but let's say if you unlock a new character, you lose all your gear, and you lose all your check marks, and so on. So your party will become weaker again. But you also get an extra check mark for unlocking a new character.
Oh, so we get an extra... Is that the mark towards the settlement leveling up, as it were?
You get a prosperity.
Yeah.
You get 1 random item and map if you already have unlocked the class before. Otherwise, you unlock the class and get a check mark for each subsequent character you will play. So if you retire 2 characters, your 3rd character will have 2 free full perks, full free perks. In addition to the ones he can earn.
So is that on a per player basis? So if I unlock a new character and switch over to it, I get a free perk. Does that mean everybody now, when somebody else unlocks a character and switches over, do they get 2 perks?
No, it's per player.
Okay.
So it's your personal accomplishment over the game.
Okay. So if I unlock a 2nd character, I get 2 free perks.
Yes.
But if then Nicole unlocks her first, she only gets 1.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and those perks are nice.
Yeah. And you
Especially
can,
for me. Removing the
yeah.
negative cards was a big bonus.
You can also add some perks to your deck, because then it's less likely to draw the crit miss.
Yeah.
If you thin your deck, you will more often hit the double and miss. While if you bolster your deck, you get more tries before you miss or
Yeah,
crit.
that's been a trade-off. With my deck, it felt like removing the 2 negative ones each time really helped, because while I thinned the deck and was more likely to hit the null, I was less likely to hurt myself in general.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I'm drawing cards or rolling dice.
Most of the time, it's really good to remove negative cards, because you increase the odds to draw the better ones.
Exactly.
But your group has really shitty drawing luck and dice luck.
You're saying my evilness has spread to the entire group?
A bit.
I mean, like every single time we're about to do a big attack, null.
And that's the point. If you want to do a big attack, then go for the goggles and use them. And
I feel like there's only 2 goggles though in the box at default, right?
Yes.
So
there are no more.
So do we ever unlock more goggles later in the game, or something equivalent?
There's something equivalent in the case that you can enhance your cards with Strengthen, which is basically the same, and even keeps around longer, because Strengthen, when you Strengthen in your own turn, it will last to your next turn and the end of your next turn.
Now, I forgot what Strengthen does. What does that do again?
The same as the goggles.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Nice. And there's ways of extending the length, because right now it feels like when we use these abilities, they only give us 1 round of bonus. Whereas if we can get like 2 or 3 rounds, that would be really nice.
They are always till the end of your next turn. So if you bless yourself in your own turn, it will last like 1.5 turn, and it's the most you can get it of. Like if you bless on your bottom half while you move, and then you attack with your top half, it's strengthened, and both actions in the next round will also be strengthened.
Okay, that's cool. Anything else that you'd like to point out? Definitely that we need to look into.
Yeah, the most important part is the element consumption. You have Spellweaver, and she needs her elements quite heavily. As you see, all her abilities are proficient with elements and get really strong, especially the Cold Fire. And in the one mission, you used her Frost with your healing ability, which is a good card, but it was like ill-timed, because
we should have had that. If we had communicated better, it would have stunned, which would have been even better.
Yes, and it's a reusable card, and if you play well, you can set up the stun every turn, or more times, because the Mind Thief can create ice with her cards.
Yeah, she's got a couple that'll suck it, but yes, has a couple that can create ice. Okay, so very similar to, there was one game where we were definitely planning a little bit better on elements, but it feels like the last couple games we just wanted to shoot through them to clear missions we had failed on. So we need to definitely, I'll try to focus the group on that a bit more and try to do that communication myself.
And maybe a recommendation for each character, which cards to look out for. Like for the Brute, the Balanced Measure is a nice card on the top half for attack X, because he has a lot of abilities that move him a lot, and he can reuse that big attack over and over again, like Skewer, move 6, attack 6, or Grab and Go, move 4, attack 4. Or move 3, jump, attack 4. There are a lot of combinations with the Balanced Measure that really punch big for the Brute.
So if he uses good combos like that, that can work well.
Yes.
Now, are we doing
It
it
can,
right with our deck building components? So our understanding is like when I unlocked level two, I was
Mhm.
only able to select one of the level two cards to take into my deck, but the other one basically I can't freely swap that out between games. That whatever one I
um,
chose right when I leveled is what I have.
yes, that's official rules, but if as you are quite new to the game and if you really think the other level 2 card is much better suited to your playstyle after using the other card like 1 or 2 times, you can
Just say
discuss it
ask
with
for
your
it.
just discuss it with your group because many people online in the forums say that's the preferred house rules they are playing and
Okay.
enjoy using.
Okay, that makes it a little bit more fun to play. Similar like what we had with Gloomhaven our last session, where we had somebody die, or not Gloomhaven, Pathfinder Adventure card game, where we had somebody
Hmm.
die, and we're like, yeah, we're not resetting. No.
Yeah, dying in Pathfinder is like the worst game mechanic of all in
Yeah.
the game. I really like the game, and we are playing a lot of it. And but this mechanic is like, why they put that in there?
Yeah, I can see forcing the person to swap out for another character, but that character should be leveled equivalent to the other
Yeah,
characters.
yeah. Starting at 0 is like, yeah, let's play through all the campaign we already did just to bring you on par. That's
Yeah,
like
that's
stupid.
basically what you'd have to do. Not worth it.
Not worth
Okay.
it.
um, yeah, so
Maybe
definitely.
for the other characters as well.
Okay, sure.
Let's see the Mind Thief. A very good augment to her abilities is Tech 2, which I seen Nicole didn't use that much. What
Um,
I've seen her use a lot is the Withering Claw, which was quite cool to see. The Muddle and Poison
yeah,
because
that worked really well.
because she has this ability for each negative condition, which is really good combo she is playing. I'm very
Oh,
proud of
so you throw the muddle
her.
and poison on a guy, and then you get the extra two attack.
Yeah, you can even throw on the attack 1 wound in combination with the Withering Claw. Because if you last turn played the Withering Claw on the augment
Hmm.
for the Mother and Poison, and next turn you go attack 1 wound,
Hmm.
so you have Mother Poison wound, and then go for Submissive Affliction, you get like tons of extra damage, which is really
Okay.
cool. The card she should use maybe a bit more is the Perverse Edge on the bottom half for the stun.
Yeah, I feel like we need to be doing more stuns because that seems to be the big thing. Like, if Rico jumps through a bunch of enemies, he's
Mhm.
very primed to take a bunch of damage. But if we
Yeah.
plan it out where he jumps through a bunch of enemies, then she uses, say, Frigid Apparition to stun a guy,
Hmm.
or Perverse Edge to stun a guy. And then if I come down and I know I have something that stuns, if I use Stun Shot to stun a guy as well, that can take two of the guys out of the focus that otherwise would have beat the hell out of Rico.
Or let's say you have a really big enemy that hits hard, has a lot of HP, and maybe has some status effects on his attacks. And next to him, you have 2 small enemies that have like 4 HP.
Hmm.
Then you can use your stun to keep the big guy in check and coordinate over more multiple turns which guy stuns him this turn. Like the
So
first
stun lock them
turn,
over time, yeah.
yeah, that's also a good ability combination of your team that you can pull off if you want to.
Well, maybe like while maybe me and which one is this? The top guy?
Mind Thief.
That's the Mind Thief. So while me
Yep.
and Nicole are busy stun locking the guy, maybe we have like Rico sitting here using piercing or something to try to kill him, or Peter with the spells nuking him, and maybe
Yeah.
Peter uses something like Cold Fire to also hit the ads on the side.
Or just kill the ads, and then you have only one guy that you can stun lock over and over again.
Now, do you generally recommend if there's like a big enemy, you take out the ads first and then focus on the big enemy, or try to take down that big guy quick?
Your team is well versed to stun lock him or impede him in any ways. So like wound him to tick damage over time
Ah,
and stun him That is also a good combo.
Yeah, I noticed we all forgot we had these wound cards. We're
Yeah.
we're right here, we've got all these cards that put wounds on, and then it was like, oh, that's nice. I
and
felt a little
and
embarrassed about that one.
especially against high shield enemies, if you don't have any pierce card left to use, maybe for some odd reason, you can still wound him and stun lock him, and maybe just ignore him for some turns. Run away from him if he's slow, and he will waddle. You don't have to kill necessarily. Sometimes it's better to let time work for you.
Yes.
With wound and disarm and immobilize maybe, and just let him die slowly and run on to your quest goal.
Now I've got this net shooter card with the immobilize, and the bottom immobilize I haven't really liked using too much because you stand next to an enemy and now you immobilize it, but I'm still going to get whacked.
No, because the order of the card is first immobilize, then move. So you have to be.
I was reading the order of operations wrong. Shit.
Yeah, you have to stand next to him, immobilize him, then run away.
Okay, so
and then maybe
next to me,
heal
and then I
or
use
something.
that to get away. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the area of effect, you can use that heavily on like a couple of like those slow-moving strong enemies. Just do some good damage, get the XP, immobilize all of them, and get the hell out of dodge.
Yeah. What I've seen you used well is pulling and pushing to enemies, to traps. Yeah, that's a good use of extra damage. If there's a trap, it's mostly in favor of the heroes with pull and pushes, and most of the time the monsters will suffer the trap instead of you. And
now, were we handling the enemy movement with traps really well? Because that's something we've been worried about. Meaning, like, if the enemies won't move into a trap unless there's absolutely no path for them to move towards us.
Let's say an example here. Let's say there are these 3 traps, and let's say here's a guard and this guard here.
Yeah.
Just these 2 enemies, and let's say there's an hero, the Tinkerer maybe.
Yeah.
In this occasion, the ruling would be there is a path through the elite guard, so he would move this way to reach you.
Okay, but now let's say you have this situation. Hold on, let me throw this out. Let's say this is the situation, and there's only the one path. Would he wait and just basically sit on his ass here?
Yes, because his path that would be available, there must be an empty space next to you, otherwise he wouldn't move at all, because he cannot...
What happens if it's this? Hold on a second. Looking for another player piece. What happens if it's something like this?
Yeah, he would try to move here through his through his buddies, and if his move is not enough, he would just stay put and do nothing.
Okay, but they won't hop through the trap then to come like this and...
No.
Okay, so we were doing movement right then. So we can basically use traps and stuff to, for lack of a better term, cock block enemies and stop them from being able to move.
Let's say this situation,
Then
he cannot reach... he cannot reach the Tinker, so he would move through the trap.
Okay.
Because the Spellweaver is next person, and he doesn't have any way to reach the Spellweaver without stepping through the trap.
Okay, cool. So we were handling that well.
Yeah, but once the trap is removed, everyone else, like,
can go charging
let's say, can go charging through. Yes.
Okay, cool. So we were doing traps right. That makes me happy because we were a little worried about that.
No, it was perfectly fine.
Okay, and now once again with mana, so even if it's at 2, if anybody spends it, it goes down to nothing.
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't go down 1 step, so 2 people can't spend it in a round.
But another thing, let's say the Mind Thief, with this combination of cards here, let's say Ice is on Strong. It's here and available to use.
Yep.
And she plays these 2 cards.
Yep.
And let's say use the Ice and create the Ice. The Ice is still on Strong, but it goes to inert. At the end of her turn, it goes to Strong. Even if she plays this card first.
Okay, but you cannot play, like, she couldn't play Perverse Edge if there was no Ice. She couldn't play Perverse Edge and then play Frigid Apparatus to spend it. You can't spend the element you create.
because it's only created at the end of your turn.
Okay. So that's technically how it works. Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
one thing I know we messed up early on, and you helped to correct that action.
Yeah, but as said, she can use and create it at the same turn, even if she plays this card first.
Okay. Okay, cool. Awesome. Let's see. Anything else you caught that we were doing that we might want to change how we do, or we should start doing, or any rules mistakes?
For Rico, I maybe pointed out that like 4 times already. When he recovers lost cards with his ability.
This is Peter, yeah.
Peter, sorry. Peter. If he recovers lost cards, he can also recover active cards, like his summon or his armor.
I don't think I realized that.
Every time you have an active card, you can discard or lose it, depending on the card, whenever you like.
Now, if he recovers the summon, does the summon go away if it's currently
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Because you have to... an active card can be lost at any time. When you lose your active summon, the summon goes away. But he can do that at any time, so if he plays his recover card, he can instantly get that back to his hand, as well as the frost armor.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll let him know that, because that was something I don't think he was fully catching on to.
Yeah, the same as the top half of his Crackling Air. That was one card he played incorrectly, if I remember, the top half. When he has Wind, he just picks up 2 of his tracker tokens. When he plays this card, place 1 on the first space and place an additional one at the side to remind him that he spent Wind when he played the card.
+2 attack instead of +1.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to spend the Wind every time he attacks to do that.
Yes, because there's a different wording on other cards where it states on the next 4 attacks you can spend Wind to do something. But that's not the case here. Here's the case, just spend it once and it enhances all your attacks in the future.
Okay.
And as said, the summon, just place him behind you and let him attack if you want to summon him.
Yeah, okay, cool.
That's mostly covers the core parts.
Sweet. Okay, anything else?
Any questions by you?
No, I think I've hit most of what I was interested in as far as rules and stuff. How important is actually collecting the money? We haven't been overly aggressive at getting the money, but should we be going a little bit more aggressively for it, or?
I would say I would recommend at least that you go for a stamina potion for each character, because it's the best item in the game. And it can also bring up some nice combos, like you create an element, pick up some cards from a discard, and then just use the element. You just create it in the next turn if you use it well.
What I'm mostly talking about is like if there's money on the board. Go aggressively going to pick up the money as opposed to going, if we happen to be able to grab it, we'll grab it. But if we killed all the monsters in the room and there's a couple loose coins in the back, should we send somebody to get those loose coins, or should we just say screw it and keep moving forward?
It also depends on the dungeon size. If you have just one room ahead and it's a small room, you can pick up one of your characters and say, you need some money, go there and take some turns, grab the money, and let the others handle the room. If you say they're like 4 rooms ahead and like you're on the next to the door and there's a coin or 2 in the back, it doesn't really is worth going all the distance back.
Okay. That's what I was checking. But let's say, for example, you've got everybody about to go through a door, and you've got a couple of coins sitting here within 2 spaces, so relatively easy pickup for a couple characters, but you're basically spending a turn to get 1 coin. Is that still worth picking up? Or
you could use that turn to, let's say, move 4, go 1 to the door, see what's inside, and go back and maybe heal something.
Oh, okay.
You can route your turn if you want to.
But if it's going to blow an entire turn just to grab the coin, not really worth it.
It depends how you play your cards.
Okay.
If your card allows it, and you have something really important to do, like heal a character, and you can route it in the
so
coin,
you heal and then move back. Yeah. Okay.
or move, open the door, move back, heal a character, pick up the coin. That's a good turn.
Yeah.
And it progresses you. It opens the turn, the door, it heals, and it grabs you some money.
Okay, cool.
I would say the higher the level, the more important the coins are. Like, we are playing on monster level 5, and maybe we leave like 1 or 2 coins behind because we are so well versed in the game that we can route them in quite well.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So when we hit the higher prosperity level, that's going to unlock more gear for us. Should we
Yes.
expect the gear to get a lot more expensive? Meaning, like, are we looking at, like, when we unlock our next pack of gear, is the stuff going to stay around the 20 to 30 cost? Or are we looking at stuff going up to, say, 50 to 60?
Mostly. The highest cost gear you can find is random gear that goes up to 80, 90, but
Okay.
the most of the stuff is mostly in 20 to 40.
Okay, so even as we unlock more, it'll stay in that rough range.
On the lower prosperity end. If you go to the level 7, 8, it will get more costly.
Okay, but we don't have to worry about that, like, with the next prosperity, because I know a couple of the players, we talk outside of while we're playing on the stream, and people were worried about, should I spend my money, or am I going to need a crap ton for when the new gear unlocks?
Let's say if you have open inventory slots, most of the time it's better to just spend the money and get you well equipped. You can later sell the equipment back for half the price and buy an upgrade maybe. And that's kind of neat progression for your character. If you start with low gear, just deck yourself out and get some options for different situations, and later just upgrade your gear. It doesn't take that much more money just to upgrade gear.
Okay, and now when our characters, when we create a new character, we lose all gear, all money, everything, right?
You will get money equal to your level your character is created plus 1 times 15.
Oh, wow.
So
if you create, say my character's level 15, or not level 15, level 5, when I create a new character, I would get, what would that be, 6 times 15, so 90 gold?
It depends on your prosperity level. You can only create a character up to your prosperity level. So let's say if you prosperity level 5, then you can create level 5 character.
Oh, I misheard you then. I was thinking that you were saying if my Tinkerer was level 5 when I created the new character.
Sorry.
Okay.
If your newly created character is level 5, sorry.
Okay, so we're about to hit prosperity level 2. If I create a new character at prosperity level 2, I get 30 gold. Or is it 45?
45.
So
because
2 plus 1. Okay.
Yes, because you can start at level 2 and get 15 per level plus 1.
Oh, that's very useful. So then in that case, oftentimes it's best to, like, pick up something like the stamina potion back. If you dumped a goggle, maybe the new eye goggles and stuff like that, just to get yourself going.
For going for what?
Oh, just to help you start out with your new character. So
yes, of course.
Yeah. So like grab your stamina potion and then maybe grab something like the goggles or something else that's beneficial to the new character. Okay.
Yes. And most of the time it's better to read your level 1 and X cards first before picking any gear, because then you can judge which items you would need the most.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think I'm all good unless there's anything else you'd like to talk about.
I'm good as well.
Okay, cool.
I think.
After we unlock a few more stuff, if you'd like to do something like this again, I'd be open to doing so.
Yeah, if you like it.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Happy to help.
Later.
Later.